When I was still growing up as a young kid, I was always fascinated by this special country known as Ghana. The powerful history of Ghana and the countless legends that Ghana had given birth to in the history of Africa was always an inspiration to me. I spent a big portion of my childhood trying to understand the bravery of Kwame Nkrumah, his personality, his leadership, his ability to put Africa on the map at a time when most African leaders were scared of the British rule. Ghana has always been my favorite African country, and that explains why all my football stars and all my role models are always from Ghana.
Today, I give you the story of one of the most influential sons of Ghana. This is the story of a son of Africa who has managed to unite content creators from all corners of Africa. And through his humility, he has remained humble despite the spotlight on his face wherever he goes. Today, I give you the untold version of two extraordinary content creators, one from East Africa and one from West Africa, as I salute them for a job well done. This is the inspiring story of WODE and Miss Trudy. Several years back, in the early 1990s, in a small village in Ghana, a boy was born. As this boy grew up, his parents wanted a bright future for him, but poverty made it extremely difficult for them to offer their boy with the type of life that they wished for. As the young boy struggled to fit in with other kids, he had to accept at an early age that his life would not change unless he made his own brave decisions to change it. But being the son of a pastor did not make it easy for the boy, because every decision and every choice that he made in his life would always have either a positive effect or a negative effect on the reputation of the dad. But slowly by slowly, this young boy learned to survive by helping the mother to sell home-cooked food in the streets of Ghana. Being raised by a hard-working mother and a principled religious dad would later have a very big impact in his upbringing later in life as an adult. But at this moment, all his parents wanted was just for this young man and this young boy to get good education and build a better future for himself. Several years later, his parents decided to send him away from Ghana so that he could further his studies and education. But unluckily, the boy fails to get a visa because of some required bank statements from his dad. So for the first time in his life, his dreams of leaving Africa are crushed. But in the process of all this confusion, one of his uncle decides to assist him, but only in one condition. His uncle tells him that for him to leave Africa, he will only be able to assist this young boy with a one-way plane ticket to China without any extra financial assistance. From childhood to adulthood, this young man had spent his whole life in Ghana, but now for the first time, he gets the chance to study outside Africa. And just when he thinks that his life is about to change
And when he thinks that he's about to start to travel away from Africa, his dream is crushed by his visa getting cancelled. But luckily, his uncle supports him and he finds himself in China on a one-way plane ticket from Ghana to China. The name of this young boy is Berthold Kobe Winkler Ekon, or as you all know him, WODE Maya. But at this point, he finds himself in a school in China, broke, without money to survive. But this young boy is determined to survive because he knows that China is his only hope for good education. As time goes by, the young, focused WODE Maya learns to survive in China. While studying in China as an aeronautical engineer, WODE Maya starts selling hot dogs in the streets of China to survive and to make extra cash to pay his bills. And through constant hard work, WODE Maya starts to adapt, and later he even starts teaching the Chinese people how to speak English, and in return he gets the rare opportunity to learn the Chinese language in order to survive in China. His good reputation at school and his industrious personality earns him the respect of his lecturers, and in return, WODE Maya is allowed to become a lecturer in his own university, and this helps him to make extra money for survival in China while he was still a student. While still in China, WODE Maya starts creating YouTube videos for fun, and because of his natural ability to make friends, WODE Maya starts becoming a popular figure in the streets of China. And from this rare personality, WODE Maya's father back in Ghana gets to watch one of WODE Maya's YouTube videos, and the father becomes furious and he insists that WODE Maya should return back to Africa immediately. Out of respect for the father, WODE Maya decides to honor his father's request, and WODE Maya books a plane ticket back to Africa to visit his father. Knowing very well that his father was a pastor, the young WODE Maya knows that he has a lot of explaining to do in terms of his YouTube videos. But in a powerful twist of fate, instead of his father attacking his type of content, the father decides to give WODE Maya a new brilliant idea about content creation. That's the day WODE Maya's father gave WODE Maya the idea about Africa. At that time, his father noticed that WODE Maya was wasting his time creating funny videos to get views on YouTube while in the streets of China. So his father advised him to use his growing influence to teach the Chinese people about Africa. This is the day WODE Maya got his most powerful light bulb moment. This is the day WODE Maya decided that his life in content creation would never ever be the same again for the rest of his life. The advice that WODE Maya got from his father sank deep in his subconscious mind. So when WODE Maya traveled back to China, his method of content creation was never the same again. WODE Maya started asking the Chinese people about their perception of Africa. And then Wodemaya would record the videos and post them on YouTube. And to his biggest shock, his videos started going viral again. For the first time in his life, his YouTube channel started becoming an oasis of hope both for Africa and for China. But at the back of his mind, Wodemaya still felt that he needed a better idea towards the future, because the videos that Wodemaya was creating in China started pulling people to China from different parts of the world. So Wodemaya decided to switch his narrative, and he decided that the best way for him and the best path for him towards the future was for him to settle back in Africa and use his influence to pull people back to Africa. And that's the day Wodemaya decided that the best thing for him to do was for him to settle in Africa and create the same type of videos, but this time he wanted to create videos about Africa so that he could pull other people from different parts of the world to Africa. On the other side of Africa, in a special country known as Kenya in East Africa, a young lady known as Gertrude has just finished school and she struggles to get on her feet financially. So on a daily basis, she has to constantly apply for promotional jobs in supermarkets. And even though she is paid less than what she works for, this lady decides to keep hustling because at this moment she has to painfully learn to survive in the capital city of Kenya, known as Nairobi. One day she wakes up to go to work, but to her rudest shock, she has just been fired. She loses her job and her only source of income, and this scenario puts her in a stressful space where she doesn't know how to pick the broken pieces of her life. Days pass by and weeks pass by, but few months later, this young, intelligent lady decides to open her own YouTube channel. She first starts by reviewing small restaurants around her capital city in Nairobi, and slowly by slowly, her YouTube channel starts to grow. At this moment, this young, brilliant lady known as Gertrude or Miss Trudy has not yet met Wodemaya, but they are just few countries away. But both of them are focused in their own countries as content creators, struggling separately with their own YouTube channels. One day, Miss Trudy wakes up in the morning and she gets an idea about the type of content she wants to create for that particular day. So Miss Trudy runs outside the house with her phone and straight to the matatu stage, and she asks one of the matatu drivers and one of the conductors if she could be the conductor for the day. And luckily, they accept her offer, and she then records the Kenyan matatu culture lifestyle with herself as the conductor. And through the grace of God, her video goes viral, and Wodemaya gets to watch her video while in Ghana. On the other side of the world, Wodemaya has just moved from China to Rwanda. And while in Rwanda, he creates a video of himself eating while on the streets of Rwanda, in the gutters, in one of the clean sewer lines of Rwanda. And the video also goes viral.
This is the craziest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But I'm not scared because I'm in the cleanest city in Africa. This is Kigali. Look at me sitting inside a gutter eating without thinking of getting sick. Bro, You just have to get to Kigali, man. This place is super clean. Look at the gutter, man. Just have a look. But first of all, let me take you to the street of Kigali and look it for yourself and see how clean Kigali is.
On the other side of the world, WODE Maya has just moved from China to Rwanda. And while in Rwanda, WODE Maya creates a video of himself eating while on the clean sewer lines of Rwanda, and the video also goes viral. Few months later, WODE Maya decides to visit East Africa here in Kenya, but his experience is not as good as he expected. So he moves back to his country in West Africa, Ghana, but his desire to create content in Kenya still runs deep in his heart. But this time he decides that before he visits Kenya, he must first get in contact with Kenyan content creators. So WODE Maya attempts to inbox several content creators in Kenya, but none of them responds to him. But finally, after several attempts, WODE Maya goes to YouTube and he notices the special video that Miss Trudy had made about matatu culture. And WODE Maya gets a small hint about what he should do next about matatu culture. So he decides to inbox Miss Trudy through Instagram. And luckily, Miss Trudy becomes the only content creator who responds to WODE Maya. And from that day, the humble gesture of friendship from Miss Trudy towards WODE Maya becomes the foundation of their long-lasting friendship from scratch. After a while, the two of them, both WODE Maya and Miss Trudy, decide to meet for the first time face-to-face in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa. And the rest is history. The powerful story of Miss Trudy and WODE Maya is a perfect African story. It's always said that a prophet is never accepted in his own home. WODE Maya at some point tried to create his own foundation in Ghana as a content creator, but it was not always as easy as it looks, because sometimes you have to move away from your country for you to be accepted. It's always so inspiring to know the fact that the two of them, both WODE Maya and Miss Trudy, are now a husband and a wife. But nothing good was ever given to them on a silver plate, because from Ghana to China and then from Rwanda to Kenya, WODE Maya had to fight for his dream before he met Miss Trudy. And also from being raised by a single father and losing the mother while still young, Miss Trudy had to struggle, because the father was the only mentor in her life, and the father was her only source of inspiration. Both WODE Maya and Miss Trudy have become household names in the field of content creation, and today I dedicate this special story to the two of them as I salute them for a job well done. WODE Maya is an African legend, and for all the effort he has made to change the perception of the world towards Africa, I salute him. And for Miss Trudy, I salute her for being a perfect example for the powerful, extraordinary effort and the potential of an African girl child. Thank you, WODE Maya, and thank you, Miss Trudy, for putting Africa on the map. Thank you for creating a path for the future of content creators in Africa and the world.
What we did before we got married is we went to the grave where the mom was buried, and I paid my last respect to her mom. How did you feel when we went there?
I felt really good because I felt like you're honoring my mom by going there with me, because you've never been there before. So I felt like it's something we had to do before we got married. I felt really, really happy that you went with me.